Makes sense. And they are like rival queer actors. And the vibe is the main character, she will do anything to be like the world's next big like lesbian actor, by which I mean the world's no. And she will do anything to do this, but then in an audition room for her like next big role, she meets this gorgeous person who this is my elevator pitch. Well, we're going to like the 12th floor here, guys. And anyway, enemies, they're rivals, they fall in love. The fortunate thing is that with a book you can like write it and edit it, and so you don't get all of the umming and ahhing that I do live. So I'm going to read a bit from quite early on so that it doesn't spoil things for you guys. And what I'm going to do is read the meet cute, because that's the reason we all read rom-coms, isn't it? Okay. But you'll have to know something about this, which is, so we're in the audition room, and the thing that's going to happen is there's going to be some tongue twisters, and I'm going to mess them up. But can we just pretend like in world it's effortless? Okay, the character is doing them really well. Okay, great. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. Hot. Do you all fancy me loads? Yeah, just seeing if you're all engaged. Okay. Okay. Anyway, great. Here we go. I'm going to start reading this now. I'm not superstitious exactly. I simply believe that if any part of my ritual is off, then I will burst into flames. I push open the door to the toilets, still marveling at why other actors don't use loos the way that I do. It's like my own private green room. I breathe out slowly, scrutinizing myself in the mirror. My audition uniform matches my headshot as usual. It's all black denim for an archetypal androgynous butch look. I carefully dampen my fingers from the dripping tap and tame one loose hair from my quiff back into its rightful place. I go into a cubicle for privacy and shake out my muscles. I swivel my tongue around my mouth clockwise and then anti-clockwise. I pull a section of my hair like a puppet string to center my posture, and then I place my hands on my abdomen and breathe deeply. On the exhale, I violently push out my diaphragm with a ha sound. Ha, ha, ha. I take another deep breath in. Ha, ha. There's a creak. I freeze. But after a few long seconds holding my breath, all I hear is a tap dripping, so I move on to my articulation exercises. Unique New York, I say, enunciating every syllable. Unique New York. Then there's another creak, louder this time, recognizably the bathroom door. I break off, my mouth frozen. Has one of the other actors found my spot, or does someone just need a wee? There's a slow tap of soles on linoleum. The door next to mine creaks plastically open, then shut, then locked. So now I have to decide whether to make my presence known, pretend I'm weeing, and therefore, rustle some loo roll, really commit to the bit. But the moment passes, and I've stayed quiet too long. I glance at my watch, 10 minutes until I'm scheduled to go in. I guess I'll just have to creepily wait for this person to do their business and then carry on. I twist my earring to ward off bad luck. But there's no rustle of clothes from next door, only the lid of a loo seat being flipped closed and the slight scuff of trainers on sticky linoleum. And then, like a renegade saying the password at the door of a speakeasy, a voice says, Unique New York. The articulation is effortless and flawless. The voice is slightly higher and brighter than mine, and the accent is unusual. New Zealand? Something else? I hold my breath. Am I being mocked, teased, or challenged? Could this be a bizarre coincidence? Very seriously, I ask, a proper coffee pot? There's a pleased chuckle from the other side of the wall. A tingle dances along my spine. I'd have to practice a lot to do a laugh as charming as that. Peter Piper picked a pickle peckle. Oh, that one, they say. I say it back faster, but halfway through they join in with me, so that we're saying it in unison. I start again, trying to accelerate the end of the line to beat them, but they keep up, laughing with perfect diction in that unusual accent. Yeah, definitely New Zealand and maybe Irish. I swear it's familiar in some way, but I can't place why. If Peter Piper picked a pecker, pickled peckers, whatever, I urge my mouth forwards, fumbling slightly but faster, racing through the last line to the punch and just beating them. We're both shouting now. Where's the pick? Oh, that one. We break off triumphantly, and their laughter is infectious. I bark and then feel self-conscious at how ugly mine is compared with theirs. Well, says the voice. I've never felt so warmed up. Damn it, what am I playing at, fraternizing with the enemy before an audition? Oh, but wait, it might be all right. This could be the person who plays Kitty opposite my Nat. I could be signing up to perform opposite that gorgeous voice. You're not here for the part of Nat, are you? I ask. No, they say, and my heart soars. I'm here to do a massive shit? I laugh in surprise and then stop. The echo in here is not flattering. Yeah, I am actually here for the part of Nat, they say. Are you? Oh, I said, me too. There's a pause. We can practice together, they say, at the same time that I say that means we're rivals. There's another pause. And we both say at the same time, jinx. We probably cancelled each other out. The wall next to me wobbles as though they're leaning against it on the other side of the cubicle. I have an image of leaning against it too, like in a music video where the lovers are in different bedrooms thinking about each other. God, I'm going mad. I stay seated. I'm Em, by the way, Emmy Clooney. No relation. They laugh again, that delightful laugh. God, I'm sorry, they say. Do you have to say that every time you introduce yourself? Yeah, it's difficult not having a famous actor for a parent. The voice pauses for a moment, and I fear my joke hasn't landed. But then that angelic sound comes again. I'm May, they say. May Jones. May Jones, I echo, and then blush. God, why am I being so embarrassing? My pronouns are she, her, she, her. Oh, yeah, sorry, I should have. Yeah, me too, I say, glad that she can't see me flustering. It's a pleasure to, does this count as meeting you? Well, I don't know about you, but I'm planning to leave this bathroom stall at some point, she said. She clicks open her lock. There's the sound of her shoes, and then I can see them under the gap at the bottom of my door. Well-worn, outrageously chunky, multicolored trainers. Their soles so large they're practically platform turned towards me. The tap drips. What's wrong? May asks with a laugh. Do you need to do a pre-audition poo? No, I don't want to break the spell, I think to myself, but that's stupid. I force myself to say, I'm coming out now. I'm proud of you, she said. I laugh and then take a breath. I open my cubicle door. Looking out, I lock eyes with myself in the mirror. But something is wrong. Yes, my dark brown hair is short, my face is pale and slightly flushed, and my eyes are blue. But it's all off. It's like a game of spot the difference. I'm wearing the wrong clothes. In the mirror, my professional black audition outfit has become a clashing pink and red oversized shirt over baggy blue jeans. My ear is pierced in the wrong ear, and instead of a hoop, it's a glittering stud. And where my face is usually long and chiseled, in the mirror, I have adorable dimples. I'm holding out my hand to shake, but in the mirror, I'm going in for a hug. And the smile on my reflection, a smile that's broader, straighter, more mischievous, and more charismatic than my own, is quickly dropping. For a second, I have a sense of an alternate universe, a universe where I'm like myself, but better in every single way. And then I realize it's not me at all. It's May. But May is exactly my type.
A very cute meet.
A very cute meet, I hope. Yes.
And you crushed the tongue twisters.
Didn't I? I know, they were so flawless and stylish.
Did you pick those up doing theater yourself?
I did, in theory, used to do theatre myself, but you wouldn't be able to tell from the way that I did that, would you? But you would be able to tell from the way that I do this all the time.
Yeah. So
you're famously an actual theatre kid.
Famously.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, we didn't do my bio. That's
Yeah.
okay. I do research and I edit the theater section at the Skinny, and yeah,
Legend. And I'm feeling really, really worried about kind of getting caught out on like actual Shakespeare and kind of theatre knowledge.
Oh,
throughout this.
don't worry, I'm not that
This
kind
is
of
an academic lecture, right? About like queer theatre.
Oh no.
Great.
Well, I did want to ask about your personal history with theater, how you got into it, how that factored into the book.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any claim to any kind of professional performing whatsoever. I at uni did a lot of Amdram, and that was how I just met all of my friends, and that was a very formative time for me. And a lot of my friends then went on to kind of continue doing performance and stuff. And so I think when I was thinking about various different ideas, it felt like a really natural setting for me to write in. Mainly because I just firmly believe that like theatre gays deserve more content. And I liked the thought of like writing about kind of people who are dramatic for a living, because it's just more fun to write people who are like who have big feelings and who like show them, you know.
That makes perfect sense. Did you do anything in particular to research, especially about like the university education and the audition processes?
Yeah, I would say it was buying my actor friends lots of drinks and recording them speak. I think what was quite fun was because I had like a rudimentary knowledge from kind of having been at first before graduating, I kind of thought maybe an acting life is for me. And so I think I'd done enough kind of panicked thinking about it then to put me off personally. But yeah, I think I understood the kind of rudimentaries enough to be able to ask the right questions of people who'd actually done it. So I hope, yeah, is anyone in here an actor? Okay, great. So you can't like catch me out on things that were deeply inaccurate. But I think that definitely something that really interested me in writing this was thinking about, yeah, like typecasting. And I think we all consume queer content, and there's something about kind of the way in which people are like packaged, and things about authenticity and like where do those labels come from if you're kind of performing a character, but then there's this sense of needing to be that person yourself. Do you know what I mean? So I think I was feeling like I didn't really know what to do with that. So I kind of thought about it in there. I don't have any answers.
Well, that brings me really nicely onto like one of like my meatier questions, I think, which is about mirroring and reflection, which just
Oh my
came
God.
from that little passage you
Symbolism
read.
is so nice. I did put a few metaphors in, actually. Thank you so much.
It's very literary, and the Shakespeare that you've chosen to include, like, obviously ties in really, really well.
Thank you.
For context, our two lovers are cast as twins in Twelfth Night.
In a pirate production, a gay pirate production of Twelfth Night.
And
Just clarify, straight, not pirate production.
and my many questions about this are about how you came to the Butch for Butch arrangement idea, besides the fact that it happens all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah. But also I wanted to talk about like the language you've chosen and the way Emmy describes herself as Butch, the way other people describe themselves as Mask. How did you come to that?
Are there any butchers in the room? Question mark. No, no. That's because you know that I fancy. Anyway, God, I'm being really. Anyway,
It's the bookshop air.
It really is. It's the setting. It's gorgeous. So yeah, I think definitely what you said there about it was something that was on my mind. That in queer kind of literature, I think there's this sense that you kind of get to occasionally have one butch, and if you do, then they're kind of always paired with a femme, and that's like the natural order. And I think it just didn't feel true to my friends or indeed to me. And so I kind of felt like it would be fun and also what I wanted to read about, and also a bit sexy, you know, can't be understated. So yeah, I think it was important to me to kind of have that pairing as kind of two characters. And I also felt kind of fun and cheeky because this book was part of a 2-book deal, which meant that I think I got to do something more gay with the second book, because there was this sort of feeling of like they've kind of already signed up for it. So I think it felt really cool to be to be a bit cheeky in that way, because there's still a long way to go in terms of kind of normalizing the very normal queer relationships that actually happen in real life. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was based on I fancy people who look like me. Like that was just, I'm afraid, the awful truth. So it was just what my friends kept teasing me about, and I just thought it was funny. So
do you watch Broad City?
Yes, I have seen that episode, and yes, that was like a genuine worry when I was writing this, but like, wait a second, has this already been covered? But I think it's okay.
I think it's
a
okay.
different vibe.
Very
But
different.
yes, I do love that
Yeah.
episode.
I'm really fascinated in your book and your writing by like the queerness of self-desire.
Oh,
and
I love this.
yeah, like she especially the way that she describes May before she realizes that she's fancying someone. You know, her initial reaction is like, I'm beautiful and like I am wild and creative. And I think masks get conditioned from really, really young that their maskness is tied into a kind of like poisonously masculine self-effacement. So I love the way that you depicted the desire between them.
Oh my gosh, like please, I really want to know more. But yeah, I think what I liked about the thought of being able to have kind of more than one mask character, and indeed like a cast full of queer people, was that they don't have to fit into the like pocket that I guess different labels kind of end up playing in different stories in order to kind of fight for any kind of visibility. I think we do end up kind of seeing similar kind of people because for whatever reason, and that's the joy of kind of having more and more queer stories, is that we get to kind of have more weirdos, I suppose, and also more kind of people that we recognize. And yeah, I think I was definitely interested. I love, I suppose, enemies to lovers as a rom-com trope. It's just fun and it's really silly. And I suppose something that was kind of on my mind when I was thinking about how kind of all of these different pieces kind of fitted together was the age-old queer thing of like, do I fancy her or do I want to be her, right? And I think that was kind of this like guiding light for me when I was writing this book, because I loved the thought of, I really wanted to write a love interest that I wanted to be. And so for me, there was this real sense of like, Emmy is the parts of myself that I find kind of hard to love. And I do love, because you've got to fight for you're loving yourself. But May is like all of the things that I like wish I was and want to be. And I loved kind of that sense of like having people who ostensibly, especially for like the outside or kind of more straight world, might look the same because they're the same casting type, aka they have short hair. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I think I really like the sense that actually there was this sense of kind of Emmy reckoning with someone. She's so ambitious and she really wants to be successful in this world where you have to be really branded and you have to kind of lean into stereotypes about yourself. And by being in this world where you have to feel like there are these kind of things that you have to be in order to kind of fit into a label, I think it creates a lot of insecurity for a lot of people, because there's this, and yeah, it is no surprise to anyone that I think these were definitely things that I was thinking about for myself. I was kind of dating for the first time when I was writing this book. Not the first time ever, but the first time in a fucking long time. Sorry, can I say that? Yeah. As if I'm on radio. Is it allowed? But yeah, I was kind of dating for the first time in a really long time, and I think I was starting to feel a bit like kind of disembodied, dissociating about like the way in which people were perceiving me on like dating apps and stuff. I mean, it's a wild thing to do anyway, obviously. And I think we all have, you know, it brings up various different things for all of us, doesn't it? But I was interested in how like, yeah, I found all of the people who were matching with me were femme, right? And that isn't, no offense, guys, you're beautiful. I'm sorry, I don't see that way. Yeah, that was kind of one thing. But I think also the way in which I felt like I was sort of feeling like I was having to kind of perform a certain role on dates and stuff, is something that I suppose I was channeling into, because I was thinking about concurrently kind of Emmy and her thinking about, I suppose, how to be successful in a world that wants you to be the stereotype rather than the nuance, I suppose. So yes, I suppose the whole, for me, the journey is that she begins with this sense of, I must be better at being a stereotype. Like that's the only way that I can be better. Like that's her kind of flawed way of seeing the world, because that's been so ingrained into her, right? And then I think what I was trying to do, spoiler alert, like through her falling in love with with May, is to have, and indeed herself. That's the moral go. Is to through sort of realizing the sort of similarities and the differences between them, I suppose, yeah, I wanted to kind of do that. And at the same time as falling in love with May, metaphorically, it's about falling in love with herself. But literally, it's about falling in love with gorgeous, funny May.
Because God forbid a mask should fancy a mask, because that would be gay.
It would be double gay.
It would be,
if anything, quadruple, like anti-patriarchal, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
It's too much.
It's too much. And that's why it's so nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that this book covers the life of someone who's in kind of a dark time, and it covers, I think, some really serious, heavy topics, but in such a light way that it made me like miss doing the kind of theater that they do in this, you know, the theater that you like and that you come out of with a friend group.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Oh, I just literally, these books are wish fulfillment for me. That's all it is. I'm just like, whoa, what would be so nice? And I was so sad when I was writing the first draft of this book. And I literally was just like, what would cheer me up? So that's why it's got things like pet pigs in it. And there's so much pizza in this book, you wouldn't believe. Whole pizza like it's outrageous that I got away with this. Do you know what I mean?
You've got
It's funny.
your backup career as a food writer in the
Thank
bag.
you so much. Thank you. There's like a parody pizza restaurant, in case anyone's not understanding this conversation, but it's deadly serious. And so yeah, I think I definitely felt like with the friendship groups and with Emmy has you know, as all good rom-coms should have, the best friends that you want to have. And I was just like, who do I want in my life? And they're kind of drawn on friends of mine, but in that kind of delicious kind of wish fulfillment kind of way. That's what I read rom-coms for. So that's kind of what I wanted to create with it.
Yeah. Going down the character route, I did want to talk about the character Alice.
Oh yeah,
Who, for people who haven't read, is I think a very high-strung critic character.
Yes.
Does that seem
And then she's
accurate?
literally a theatre critic.
Literally
Yeah.
a critic. Yeah, your description is like this noisy, long-haired queer femme who is a theater critic. I was like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about here.
And very gorgeous and lovely and
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was very touched and felt very seen by that story from Emmy's point of view, and I think also triggered because like people treat queer relationships, especially queer relationships between femmes, as if there's no power dynamic. And I think the way you depicted that power dynamic was so powerful and kind of like frightening to watch Emmy get sucked into it. I was like, oh.
Thank you. I'm sorry and I'm glad. Thank you. Yeah, it was do we mind? I'm not going to do proper spoilers, but spoiler of vibes. How do we feel? I'm on with the microphone actually, so I think I'm pretty control. Such a fake democracy. Alice is Emmy's. So Emmy's never really been in a relationship at the start of this book, and it's one of the chips on her shoulder. Is to her, she's been kind of really prioritizing work, but I think there's also some various insecurities going on there. And Alice is this theatre critic that she meets in this context where Alice is so glamorous and ambitious and successful in a way that Emmy wants to be herself. And fundamentally, Alice is also really explicitly attracted to Emmy in a way that Emmy, I think, is not very used to. And I think that what I wanted to do was to write, I suppose I personally find it quite frustrating when I'm reading a rom-com where you know exactly, I'm just going to say it, guys, where you know exactly who the villain is, like from the start, and they're really villainous. Do you know what I mean? And you're well, why is she with that person? Like they're just horrible and a villain, and like they're wearing like the villain clothes and everything, And I think I just don't think that didn't feel particularly interesting to me. And I also felt like I wanted to be writing something that felt that felt a bit more, I suppose, truthful. And so what I wanted to explore with Alice is someone who is really heartbroken, and that the way that kind of comes out might be not very nice for the other person to receive. And I suppose what I wanted to have is the sense that the reader is finding things out about that dynamic that I suppose I liked dramatic irony in this book. And I think that the kind of relationship with Alice is something that Emmy herself doesn't really realize the vibe of it as it's going along. And I suppose I wanted to give the reader the sense that they also didn't really know how this was kind of going to play out. Because as soon as you establish like May is the love interest and you want to be rooting for May, right? So I kind of wanted to mess a bit with the sense of like the reader, oh, wait a second, like maybe Alice is the right person here. Like, hang on a second. Yeah. So let me know.
I really am struck by how much compassion you have for all of these characters, and I think it comes through in Emmy's compassion as well. I think that's part of why those parts of it were such an emotional read, because in those points, Emmy kind of talks to herself the way like I wish I could talk to myself. And I feel like learning how to be kind to yourself is such an important part of the book. Thank you. I just want to check the time.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on. Okay, we're good.
Great.
I do.
Yeah, I think yeah, with that, I think I also really want, my intention with this was, yeah, as I said, kind of for it to be really fun for people to read. And I think for me there's something a bit, yeah, I didn't want to feel like in order to have a kind of villain that we're rooting against, like I don't really like the thought of kind of rooting against someone, especially someone who's queer. I'm just like, no, all of the gay people are flawless. She's not flawless, but yeah, we all are going through and sort of doing the best of things. But yeah, I suppose it was a very deliberate choice. And in earlier drafts, I actually had Alice being much more of a kind of classic bitch that you could kind of just like hate, and it just wasn't very interesting, I think. So thank you. I'm glad to have gone down this route.
It kept it both interesting and meaningful.
Wow.
Wow.
Quote for the front, please.
I do want to talk about parents.
Oh yeah.
I think the relationships that Emmy has with her parents in this book are incredible. I think that
Thank you.
With the parody pizza restaurant and the very few things that she says about her mom, you really get a sense of who these parents are and who they are to their kid. And I want to know how you crafted those characters.
I made them up with my head, which is, I'm sorry, because I feel like people like to feel that things are sort of coming from reality. But I really thank you and like love that they still, so I think I'm always kind of thinking about these things with kind of my kind of wish fulfillment, like fanfic head, and then also my kind of editor, kind of cynical head, because I work as like an editor of fiction in my kind of day job as well. And so I think what I wanted to do with the parents was, for me, there was a kind of challenge of I didn't want it to be the same dynamic that I had in Double Booked, which is my first book, where, spoiler alert, one of them's dead. And that one was more, I suppose, from my truth. Haha. Wow, why did I say haha? Anyway.
My mask is hiding all my emotions, so I'm just looking at you cold-eyed, like.
So I guess I already kind of did my parent story in Double Book, you know what I mean? And I suppose with this, what I wanted to do was to have something that I could tap into some of those kind of feelings with, but vary it so that it's not just like, I don't want every rom-com I write to have a dead dad in it, you know what I mean? It would be so boring. So yeah, I suppose I wanted to have a kind of different dynamic, but that would still feel like I could kind of think about various different like ways in which we care about our parents and are always like getting it wrong. And I think miscommunication is for me the reason that we read fiction, I suppose. So that sounded so pretentious.
Well, on that note,
yeah,
could I solicit from you a second reading?
Oh,
yes.
Really?
Yes, we're bookending.
Bookending, so gorgeous.
With readings.
My God.
While you search for that,
Yeah.
I will say what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little reading.
A little Q&A.
Yeah, and then there'll be a little Q&A session. Yeah. So people online can send questions in, I think, and we can take questions here. I will then repeat them into the microphone so that everyone can hear them, and we'll get our wonderful answers to all our burning questions. So please think of them, because I will be calling on people.
This is gorgeous, and thank you. Okay, I have an idea for a thing to read, which is, so as you guys know, what happens is these guys enter into a rivalry where they keep going up for all of the same like 5 roles that are available to kind of short-haired queers, which means Orlando, yeah, and so I'm trying to find the scene in which they are kind of mid of their rivalry, because I feel like having I just feel like I'm trying to kind of promote this book on enemies to lovers, and
there is a sword fight.
Oh,
I can
do you
say
want
that
to
much. I was reading the
sword
sword
fight?
fight.
Okay, do you want show of hands? You can either have, let's have the sword fight. Okay. Maybe you guys think about questions while I'm finding it. No, I loved it. I should have thought about it. I actually haven't read this book in a while. Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, hang on a second. Giving a shoulder massage. Please. Sorry, everyone. Do you have any gossip? Oh, great question. I can't. How about you answer that for me while I'm trying to.
I will make something up.
Yeah,
if
please.
Your next. I think that
Interesting.
Lily's next book should be a retelling of another classic work of early modern playwriting, maybe a Galatea,
Oh my God.
something else mass
Yeah,
for
that
mass.
was making me millions of pounds.
I think that Galatea is a real cash cow right now.
Yeah.
Actually.
I can't wait to read. I think you should write it. Okay, I've got it. I've got it. Okay. So it's a gay fight scene. Okay, that's the context here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna. Oh, my voice is a bit grating, isn't it? We don't want too long. How about we do that? Okay. So basically what's happened is Emmy has challenged May to a duel because Emmy went to drama school and she learned stage fighting and she really excelled at it. And on her CV, she kind of puts it like front and center. But May stole her CV because she just didn't know how. Well, anyway, I don't want to get too. But anyway, Emmy has challenged May to a duel, and this is believable in world because in theory they both have the same like stage fighting credentials, but May has never actually done this before. And this is during the queer 12th night. Imagine everyone in pirate sexy outfits and they're on the stage in an auditorium and literally every single person is gay. Okay. The cast is seated in the auditorium while May and I are up on the main stage. May has dressed herself in 3 layers of padding. I cockily haven't put on any at all. You could surrender now, you know, I say, bouncing on my toes. Just confess. It's only waving a bit of metal around, she snaps. If you can do it, I can do it. I unsheath the prop rapier and bring it swooshing down. It makes the sound of a whip. You're right, I say. It is easy. May looks like she might throw up. I toss the rapier between my hands, enjoying its familiar weight. How about a little wager, I say. May's eyes follow the flying blade. What kind of wager? The loser of this fight has to give up. Give up what? She says. I run my finger along the blade. We've said it before, Jones. Show business isn't big enough for 2 of us. You've played dirty, so I have no choice but to play dirty with you. I pick up 2 prop daggers from the box, tucking one into my sock. Give up your part in this show, and they'll give me Viola. I hold out the other dagger to May. Do that, and I won't have to tell anyone about your little CV of lies, or about your mother. She growls and snatches the dagger from me. Never, she says. I point my rapier at her and shout, on guard! We start to circle around each other, May's rapier taut and wobbling, mine languishing casually in my palm. I'm the lead, she says, as if to herself, because I'm better than you. You only got cast because of me. You only got cast because of me, I snarl. You got me into the room, sure, but in the room I beat you. If I wasn't good enough, they wouldn't have cast me at all, I say. They could have twins who look dissimilar, like literally every other production of 12th Night ever. I never said you're not a good actor, says May. I hesitate. Her backhanded compliment has caught me off guard. And then May drops her rapier, jumps forwards at me, and her backhanded slap catches me on the cheek. Distantly, I hear the cast gasp. I clutch at my face, trust May to use a slap in a sword fight. She crouches lightly on her feet like a feral cat and grins. But you know what, Clooney? You're a better actor when you're opposite me. I narrow my eyes and throw my rapier aside. I crouch and hold my clenched fists in front of me, mirroring her. Her smile just broadens. See? My blood crackles. I dart towards her and she faints. I spin and we circle each other faster now. You don't want to admit it, she laughs, but I know you've never acted like you have when you're around me. You stood out in this audition because I baited you on the workshop floor. I get you out of your clever little head. Any success you've had since we met is because of me. She lunges forwards and we click into a full-on wrestle. I push back with all my might, but we're evenly matched. We stare at each other in a headlock. May screams in frustration, staring into her furious eyes, thinking about everything she's taken from me. I scream back. We shout louder and louder until finally With a supreme effort of will, I push her backwards, and she falls onto her bum. I stride towards her, picking up both the abandoned rapiers. I swirl them in the air between us. May shuffles desperately away, patting herself, trying to find her dagger amongst all of her many layers of padding. Her back reaches the set behind her. It's a leftover from the previous show, in the last stages of being dismantled, a painting of the lava pits of hell. May's pressed against its ruins as I step over her legs, straddling her, and point the rapier at her chest. She pants underneath me. Yes, I'm aware that if it wasn't this contact, it would be quite hot. As the chip on your shoulder keeps reminding me, I say, I have trained to do this. I stroke the rapier along the side of her neck. I attended the best fucking drama school in the country, and I worked really hard to get the best fucking marks in every exam, and that's how I can do this. I throw the rapier into the air. I don't need to watch it spin. I catch it by its handle and, in the same fluid motion, push it into the scenery wall above her head. It quivers. You're the one who's copying me, I spit. Any success that you have is because of me, and don't you dare forget it. I almost believe myself as I'm saying it. I move to the front of the stage to take a bow, but May, panting, calls behind me. I turn and watch her reach for the handle of the rapier above her. Oh yeah? Well then I'll just copy. She pulls it out and throws it into the air. For a second, we all watch in wonder as it travels upwards, but then, like a corgi trying to come... Sorry, I just messed that up. But then, like a corgi trying to jump onto a sofa, it barely gets an inch high. It drops with an embarrassed plump. We look at it, then up at each other. I give her a slow clap. Wow, your mummy must be so proud. May stares at me, then gives a sudden deranged scream and lunges for my foot. Still laughing, I hop backwards, continuing to clap like a renegade Morris dancer. You'd be nothing without me, I say. You'd be nothing without me, she said. She's managed to find her dagger, but it's facing the wrong way. As she fumbles with it, she looks up, and her face is suddenly so horrified and awed, I wonder if she's finally conceding to my mastery. Maybe if she believes it, I can believe it too. Then I realise quite how far backwards I've been hopping. My non-hopping foot comes down into blank air behind me. I flail my arms out to try to right myself back from the edge of the stage. May reaches out wildly for my hand. But unfortunately, some stage fight part of me still thinks she's trying to attack me, so I don't take it. I try it stubbornly to hold on alone, and for a second, I really think I've done it. I win, I cheer, and then I trip on a footlight and fall backwards off the stage.
I love that.
Exciting thing.
Fantastic.
Thank you for listening.
All right, time to turn it over for our Q&A. So do we have any online questions yet?
Oh my God, fun.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, so I'll turn it over to our in-person
Online.
attendees. Any questions? Yes.
Hi. Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Fun. Yeah, great question. Yeah.
To repeat it for our online audience.
Yeah.
The question was about Nepo babies and why Lily chose to include them, or one in particular, in this story.
Yes, and I won't say which character it is who has a famous parent. I think, I love this question, which I've never been asked, and therefore I don't have a pithy answer. But I suppose what I was thinking about is wanting to have a sense of the contrasting ways in which people have skills. And it was interesting to me to think about I really like writing characters that have really strongly held beliefs, right? I just find them more fun and interesting. And I think it was basically trying to give every character as many chips on their shoulder as possible. And I think that Nepo Babies is a fun one because whatever my own beliefs about it might be, I am aware of my own chip of kind of not have, I wish I was a Nepo baby, do you know what I mean? Like, but I think that it must also be really tricky for people who are genuinely talented and who also then kind of have this constant existential doubt that what if I'm only successful because of my parents, right? And there's no doubt that those people are then kind of having their own kind of paranoias. So yeah, I think it was kind of wanting to